Alright, so this first question comes from a special viewer. It says how big is your P? Hey guys, so that was a joke, obviously. Hopefully that was obvious. Anyway, hi, my name is Justin Chae. If you guys are new to this channel or have never been here before, basically I'm going to be a rising sophomore at Princeton University in the fall, and I'll be studying mechanical engineering. And so today, pretty simple video. We're just going to be going through and answering any questions that you guys have about college, academics, you know, the social scene at Princeton, stuff like that. So yeah, we got a bunch of different questions. So yeah, let's just go ahead and jump into it. Alright, so this first question comes from 𝗕𝗓𝗏𝗃. I'm just gonna go with do. It says, how did you get comfortable filming yourself / being a college YouTuber? Now, to be completely honest, I'm still not entirely comfortable with it. It still is a bit weird. And so, one of the big reasons why you don't see a lot of videos of me vlogging while I was at Princeton this past year was mostly just because I felt very awkward to vlog still on campus. I feel like I'm still not entirely used to it. Over time, it's gotten a lot better, and you know, I have been able to pick up my camera more and more, but a lot of times it still is a bit weird, and I don't want to be always pointed out, you know, as that guy, oh, that's that guy who always carries around his camera and is vlogging and stuff like that. So I'm still getting used to it, but yeah, it's still weird. And also just seeing a lot of your guys' comments and DMs really helps me keep going and not be as awkward and uncomfortable about it. A lot of times you guys leave really supportive comments, and so that really motivates me to keep posting videos and stuff like that, especially when I am very demotivated to continue putting out videos. So also thank you to you guys, I guess. This next question comes from Ria Jane. They said, how did you decide on your major, and what is your favorite part about Princeton? And so for me, I feel like it wasn't that difficult of a decision. It just seemed very obvious to go into mechanical engineering. I feel like ever since I was a kid, I've always enjoyed making stuff, either with my hands or stuff on the computer, and so it just seemed like the natural progression to go into mechanical engineering. I think another part of that is also that I just couldn't see myself doing any other major. Econ, chemistry, sure, they are interesting to other people, but for me, I just could not imagine myself, spending 4 years of my life learning about those topics. I feel like mechanical engineering is just such a natural choice for me that, yeah, it seemed very obvious. In terms of favorite part about Princeton, I mean, this is a pretty cliche answer, but I'd say the people. There are a lot of really great people that I've met this past semester, and I feel like a lot of them are very down to earth and super just easy to get along with. And even though I've only known them for this past year, it feels like I've known them for so much longer, and it just feels so natural talking to them. Alright, this next question comes from Brandon Choi. He says, ideas on socializing this upcoming semester while under social distancing restrictions. So this one is definitely difficult for everyone right now. Obviously, we're all in the same boat here. But lately I've been playing a lot of 𝗕𝗓𝗏𝗏 with my friends. So if you guys don't know about that, it's just basically online Pictionary. Super fun, super simple to set up. Very wild at times. And then when we get bored of that, we've also been playing this game called Codenames. So this one you do need more people to play, and it is a team game, but it has been pretty fun and also gets very intense at times. And then lately we've been playing a lot of Valorant, me and my friend group, and so we've been playing custom 3v3 matches, and so I still have a long ways to go before I'm nearly as good as some of the others, but I'm still working on that. So this next question comes from Katie Lee. She says, what classes did you take freshman year and how were they? How would you recommend a pre-frosh going in as an engineer prepare for the workload at Princeton? So for me, this past year, I took 9 classes total, 4 classes in the fall and 5 classes in the spring. And so those classes were, in the fall, I took intro physics, the mechanics portion. I also took multivariable calculus, intro to computer programming, and advanced Korean under the heritage speaker track. And then for the spring semester, I took physics, intro to physics again, but the E&M portion, then linear algebra, a writing seminar. This class, it's a mechanical and aerospace engineering method and skills, and then advanced Korean, the heritage track continued. Okay, so I'll be completely honest, I feel like my classes this past year entirely were hard AF. It was so much more difficult than it was in high school. And I mean, I think one part of this entire, the reason why I say that was because, I was just kind of bad about, managing my time. And, especially at the beginning of the semester, both semesters, I feel like I got off on, the wrong foot super behind, and it made it really hard to catch up in the end. And I was also really bad about asking for help from like professors and going off hours and stuff like that. So I think that really affected me too. So yeah, that just kind of made the whole thing a pretty big mess. In terms of advice for pre-frosh going in, especially like engineering pre-frosh, I'd say if you have the time this summer, try to learn some computer programming. Like if you don't already know some, I'd say take this time right now, especially you know when we're in quarantine and you have so much more time. Try to learn computer programming. I went into my intro to computer programming class with absolutely no knowledge on the topic, and it was probably one of my hardest classes at Princeton. So I feel like having some prior knowledge, like all the kids who took AP Comp Sci in high school, I feel like we're at such like had much more of an advantage in the end. And so like that was honestly probably one of my biggest regrets, not learning computer programming earlier. Plus it's just like a really good skill to have. All right, so this next question comes from Greg Rule. He says, when not studying, what do you enjoy doing at Princeton most of the time? So in terms of doing stuff in my free time, there's like a Kung Fu Tea right outside of campus. And so a lot of times I would just go there with friends, grab stuff from there. Other stuff that we do, we just watch movies in someone's dorm, like set up a projector or something like that, watch movies, or just, you know, kind of talk. There isn't much to do on Princeton's campus. We would also occasionally go to New York City, but that one is pretty occasional just because I feel like making time to go to New York City was pretty hard. In the past year, I only went twice, but I was hoping to go a lot more often, so hopefully I can do that coming up this next year. This next question comes from Lucas Hibelin. This next question just comes from Lucas. They say, what is it like to have your brother also as a YouTuber? Do you guys often share video ideas? And so for me, it's not really that weird just because he's been doing it for so long that, you know, it just feels normal to see him, you know, vlogging or doing some kind of video. In terms of sharing video ideas, we don't really do that just because I feel like we have very different styles in terms of like we put out pretty similar content, but I feel like we do have different styles in the way that we put them out. But we do share a lot of, you know, video equipment together, which is pretty nice, whether that be, you know, like lenses or tripods or, you know, like lighting, stuff like that. So that is pretty convenient, him already having a lot of this equipment, so I don't have to buy, you know, a lot of the stuff for myself. But that does also mean that anytime he does buy me a gift that is, you know, like camera, video related, then it also can go to him as well. So it is a dual-edged sword. This next question comes from Tina. She says, have you found high school or college more difficult? Simple answer, college. Most definitely college. In terms of workload, it is so much more difficult and you just have to be so much better about managing your time. But on the flip side, you do get more freedom to do what you want. And so like if you don't want to go to class, you don't technically have to go to class, you know, you can just skip. You just have to be very like accountable with yourself and, you know, take things in your own hands. And so if you're not already an independent person before you go into college, I think college will definitely make you a lot more independent. All right, so this next question comes from Eva. They say, what are some of your biggest regrets from high school? Do you have any advice for incoming high school freshmen? And I'd say the biggest regret that I had was just taking things so seriously. I feel like sometimes I was so like caught up on my SAT scores and my AP scores, and in the end, like they didn't really matter that much. Like obviously they did matter, and I'm not saying that you should just like blow off, you know, studying for the SAT or, you know, like working hard for your AP exams. Like that's not what I'm saying, but I feel like if I did do, you know, poorly on them, I feel like I would be so devastated and, you know, be upset for like the rest of the week. But like, you know, try as hard as you can, and then if things don't go your way, like don't be super upset about it because it's not gonna be the end of the world. And there's a pretty good chance that in the end it won't even matter in terms of, you know, when it comes to college and stuff like that. This question comes from Karen Kim. They say, what were some things that you didn't really like or things that could be improved at Princeton now that you went there for a whole year? I feel like the biggest thing for me is that I just wish I had more time to relax. It constantly just felt like work all the time, Monday through Friday. And so like my schedule would pretty much look like, you know, Monday through Friday, you know, go to classes, do homework, do work, whatever. And then Friday night, you know, you can go out, have a good time, hang out with friends. And then Saturday, you're working all day, Sunday, you're working all day, and then just repeat that next week. You know, occasionally, you know, you can have fun stuff throughout the week, but I feel like I would feel so guilty taking any time for myself and, you know, taking any time to do stuff that wasn't considered productive. Like just, you know, laying in bed and watching Netflix for 20 minutes. Like I would feel so guilty and like I couldn't even enjoy my time because I'm just thinking about, you know, all the stuff that I could be doing otherwise. And so I just feel like if the workload wasn't nearly as much, and like obviously this is coming from a very like privileged position of, you know, being able to go to Princeton, but sometimes just being able to have like less of a workload would make just like the entire experience a lot more enjoyable, and I feel like I would just be able to like relax more and just enjoy my time more. All right, so this next question comes from Sovika, and so it says, is a good degree and career more important to you than finding love and starting a family? And so I think I used to have a pretty hard time with this question. I used to actually consider going into the medical field and, you know, starting a career in medicine as like a surgeon. And so that was probably for about a year. But then I realized, you know, like the amount of time that it takes to go to medical school and just go through, you know, residency, all that stuff. And I just felt like I wouldn't enjoy my time doing that. Even though, yes, you know, it would be a very like awesome career, you know, saving lives and helping people. But I feel like my skills and, you know, like my happiness could be placed elsewhere doing other things. I'd say for me personally, I would rather focus more on just being happy and like having, and I guess that involves, you know, having a family down the line, blah, blah, blah. That's, you know, for way later. However, like with that said, I feel like I'm in a very fortunate position where I am, where like my parents don't really necessarily have to worry about things financially. So I don't necessarily have to worry about, you know, providing for my family. I really just need to focus on providing for myself once I graduate from college. With that said, like I feel like I'm not really in my career for the money. Like I'm sure mechanical engineers, you know, do make like decent money, but there are definitely other careers out there that could make me more money. But it's not really about like money for me at all. I'd rather do something for less money that would make me happy than do something for a lot more money that, you know, like I wouldn't enjoy my time doing. And like that sounds obvious, but I feel like a lot of people are going into careers lately solely for the sake of making a lot of money, which, you know, is fine if they need to provide for, you know, their families and stuff like that. But I don't know, I'm just in that position where I don't need to do that, and so I can, you know, follow the things that I want to follow. This is so convoluted, and I'm pretty sure I'm not making any sense, but yeah, hopefully that answers the question. All right, so this next question comes from DryTube, and it says, do you care more about grades or knowledge? Why or why not? So this is a super interesting question, and so I feel like the answer that I want to say is that I care more about, you know, like the knowledge, and then I care more about, you know, getting the information rather than, you know, just having to focus on the grades. But I feel like I grew up, at least for me personally, in like an education system where like I have to focus so much more on grades and the scores and stuff like that. Like I feel like I tried really hard in high school to concentrate more on the content that I'm learning and not really, you know, focusing as much on the grades. But when so much of your like life is focused on getting into college, you know, then you subconsciously like have to worry so much more about, you know, like your grades, your rank, your GPA, stuff like that, because, you know, ultimately like that stuff does play a role in your college admission, obviously. And so I think now that I'm in college, I'm still trying to focus more on like learning the actual content rather than, you know, just getting by just so I can, you know, get that grade in on time, rather than, you know, sitting down, focusing, studying the stuff and making sure like I actually absorb the knowledge. Overall, like I wish that I had prioritized content more so than grades, but I wasn't super great about that, and so I'm hoping that this next year I can be better about that. Although I can understand, like if you're in high school right now, I can understand why you have that difficulty, because, you know, like I just said, like I had that difficulty as well, so yeah. All right, so this last question comes from Krish Patel, and so I'm just gonna do a quick speed fire 𝗓𝗏 or 𝗓𝗏𝗏? Definitely 𝗓𝗏. Aang is just, no. Anyway, number 2, have you seen any famous people at Princeton? Yes, I've seen, I mean, Chloe Kim is technically in like my class, so I've seen her around campus a good number of times. I've seen Trevor Noah, he came to campus. Also, the president of Microsoft was also there giving the same talk with Trevor Noah. There's also Neil deGrasse Tyson was also on campus. I didn't get to meet him, but I saw that he was on campus, so I'm just gonna count that as well. And then I'm sure there are plenty of other famous people who came through who I just never got time to meet. Okay, number 3, what's your height? I think I'm around like 5'8". I might be rounding up there. Number 4, do you and your brother have friendly competitions over grades or YouTube stats? Not really, but I feel like if it were a competition, I would probably win in grades, but he definitely wins in terms of YouTube stats, stuff like that. Number 5, what pencils do you use? I use the Pentel Click Line. I use a Pentel Click Line, or specifically this pencil from Muji. It's a 0.5 It's like the only like mechanical, like solid pencil that they sell. I don't know if that makes sense. This is a pencil I'm talking about. This is a pencil I'm talking about. If you've seen it before, you know what I'm talking about. Number 6, how many digits of pi can you recite? 3.141526. I think that's the last two. Oh shoot. Yeah, that's as many. Alright, so that's gonna wrap it up for this video. I know that there were a ton of different questions all over the place, super scattered. So hopefully this helped answer some of your guys' questions that you guys had. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Make sure to subscribe as well. And yeah, more content coming soon. But with that said, yeah, peace.